This is the meeting of the Community Preservation Act Committee, 2020-2024. It is 7:42. Now that we have a quorum, we're gonna call the meeting to order. This meeting is being held in accordance with all Mass General laws pertaining to online meetings, will be followed, stated by Governor Healy in March 2023 regarding online meetings. So we'll do a roll call to call the meeting to order. So Carolyn,
Here.
MJ,
Here.
Eleanor,
Here. Oh, Beth is here.
and Wayne here.
Hold on. Give Beth a
And
second and you can.
is she the official representative for?
We're going to find out how official she is.
Okay.
Thank you. I am not official, but I'm so
Right.
excited to be here.
Hi, Beth.
So we just,
Hi.
Again, our apologies, Beth.
so we just called the meeting to order.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe just for the record, we'll just state that we were having some technical difficulties with the link, and so in a discussion, we've decided that, you know, going forward, when we host our meetings, we'll also include our CPAC email address in the instructions. So if there are any technical difficulties and anybody's trying to join the meeting, they'll know who they can reach out to right in that moment in order to get connected. So that will be something we will do. So let me pull up the agenda. So I think the first thing on the agenda is minutes. So
I make a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting.
I second that motion.
are there any comments, questions, corrections? Okay, hearing none, I'll take a vote. Carolyn,
Aye.
MJ,
Aye.
Ellie,
Aye.
Wayne, aye. Okay, so next on the agenda, Maureen, can you sort of update us as what the authorized signer invoice is?
Yeah, so every fiscal year, every committee and board should vote to have a signer of any invoices. Your policy has been to have the chair sign off on invoices that are approved at your meeting as long as they are less than $2,000. So in this case,
So it's really a single signer.
single signer for anything less than 2,000, and anything over 2,000 would you'd need a quorum for it. So in this case, you're just nominating and voting Tim in again. So,
So do we have a motion to appoint to authorize the chair to sign any invoices and payroll as just described by Maureen?
So moved.
Okay, here's second. Okay. Also, all those in favor, we will take a vote. So Carolyn,
Aye.
MJ,
Aye.
Ellie,
Aye.
and Wayne, aye. Guess that suffices that. So we have an invoice, I guess, for the Community Preservation Coalition dues of $1,750. So we need to vote to approve that. Is there anything specific we need to know about that, Maureen, other than just that those are our annual dues?
that's just the annual dues. It did not go up from last year.
Okay, so we'll
Well,
authorize
good, yeah.
authorize our chair to sign. So do we have a motion to approve the payment of the invoice for Community Preservation Coalition dues for $1,750?
So moved.
Okay, take a roll call vote.
Whoa, wait. Second.
Second.
There you go. Now you can call a vote.
Been a while. Carolyn,
Aye.
MJ,
Aye.
Eleanor,
Aye.
Wayne, aye. All right, so next, update on CPA signs. So that's sort of my area. So couple things. So I did have a conversation with Sign Logics in Hudson and spoke with Carol there. Had a very good conversation. I sent her some of the specs and outlines that we had had as far as ideas for the design. I will say that it was a really worthwhile conversation. And I think, while I think the initial intent had been to, talk to Assabet about, just developing signs and creating them, I really appreciated the difference of the potential knowledge. I mean, they haven't responded to me, so that's been another problem. But and I understand that it's summer and all that stuff. But I think speaking with Sign Logics, you get a lot of benefit from working with a knowledgeable company that, put signs in place. And I'm assuming we would probably end up having them install the signs and things like that. So just in talking with her, I was asking her about materials and what should we consider, and I was using examples of the tennis court, pickleball court, and then also some of the recreation land and what kinds of stuff. So, she was just saying, aluminum is what they would recommend for the pickleball type, on a fence. And she just mentioned, like, off the cuff, we would secure them with brackets that nobody can unscrew and take off. And I was like, there's a good idea, which nobody would have necessarily thought of, except for a sign company that puts these things in place all the time because, bored people with nothing else to do, unscrew signs. So, or might. So,
Well,
so
now that you've given them the idea,
you're
Yeah.
welcome. They're welcome. They're welcome. But now we've told them they won't be able to because we're going to use something that's tamper proof. And and she also, then we were talking about the other ideas for, the other types of signage. She said, well, whatever signposts, she said you can use, 4x4 pressure treated or, some kind of steel pipe or coated pipe. She said if you put the pressure treated in, they can, have a cap on them, so that will really protect them and they will last. And so I just really felt that was a good conversation. So I have not had a further conversation with her yet. But what it really sort of struck home to me is that as we go through looking at the projects we already have in place that we want to put signs on, each one is really going to have a unique set of needs, some similar, but, sometimes different. And so I think, as we move forward and are looking at proposals, it's probably a good idea to have a conversation about, what type of sign we want, involve the proponents and saying, what do they have for ideas and that kind of stuff. Because I think each one's going to kind of be custom to a degree. And so this past week, Carolyn and I got together, and thank you, Carolyn. And we made mock-up sizes of signs because that was also the other conversation we were having. I was thinking bigger, some people were thinking smaller. And so we kind of went around with different, not kind of, we did go around with different cardboard pieces. Thank you, Carolyn, for sizing them all up and being my model and holding signs. So Carolyn's going to pull up some pictures just so you can all sort of see some of the different locations and what we initially were thinking of, and just kind of have a conversation. So it'll just give me some more feedback if we have some ideas or want to have a conversation. I think we can always come back and then finalize like what each sign will say to be sure it's what we want. But they're all going to be sort of one-off. But I think the first thing is to say what size we want so we can get a quote on what it would cost. Because I think the printing and everything will pretty much be the same regardless of whatever. And even the sizing probably won't make too much difference if it's, from one size to another. But, I don't want to make them go round and round and round, but they were really knowledgeable. So, and I don't know if we have to quote multiple companies or not. I guess it depends on what the quote is. So. But Carolyn, can you share your screen and share some of
Yep.
I did send these all to you guys in an email, but it's probably easier for discussion. So this was at Horseshoe Pond. And so Carolyn's standing sort of at the stone wall. This is on Lyman. We drove up to the other location and we could certainly put one there, but we had been talking about the kiosk, and I don't know if any of you know exactly that kiosk or have ever hiked up there. When Carolyn pointed it to me, it's in the woods a ways off. And I said, well, that's all fine and well. I said, but that doesn't tell anybody driving by that, that there was use of CPA unless you're actually physically hiking, are going to go in there. And for me, I'm a big believer that if, the funds are being used, then if we can get it where it's visible to people driving by or seeing it, that's a good idea. So whether we would do one here, and there is no signage here at all, and this is actually part of the parcel that was purchased with the CPA funds. So, but you can
Right.
see the small one is 18 by 24, and the larger one is 2 by 3. And I guess my point, and as I said to Carolyn, and you can have a conversation, is like, initially you think, oh, well, 18 by 24 is plenty. But to me, 2 by 3, it's like, is actually visible from the road. Like, so depending on how we, size the logo and stuff like that, I think you're much more likely to be able to have people see it. So,
Yeah, I
Right.
I would think a larger sign would be better. A smaller sign seems like that would be fun if like you're putting up for whatever political candidate. It's like, well, I've seen those signs in other people's yards, so you if you
You know
already
what it says.
says the size doesn't matter too much, but I think in this case size will matter. So
yeah, I don't
Right.
think we want to
It-
go bigger than that necessarily. I mean, we did have bigger ones, but that seems pretty substantial.
yeah.
Right.
Not
And the Conservation Commission is working on creating real parking here. So I think it'll be good to incorporate the placement of this sign in those plans.
Yeah. And Carolyn did say at the other location, the other sign that's in the kiosk, there is something in the kiosk that mentions the CPA part. And I don't think that's a bad thing to have it there, but I just think it's a good idea to have it out and visible because, there's a lot of residents that may never hike it or walk it. And I think over time as we put signs up, not that we want to go, bananas, but if we're doing stuff, it just demonstrates, what it is. And on this sign we were talking about, we would put, like Horseshoe Pond, or whatever the specific name is of the location, just so it would sort of help identify it as well. So you guys like that
Right.
size pretty well?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to go to the next
Okay,
one?
yeah. So here we are at the community gardens.
And I'm not sending, I didn't send all the others, but I said to Carolyn as we were walking around, I said, this is really impressive. So for those of you that never actually have seen the fence and been over there, if you have a few minutes to walk, but like Carolyn and I walked around that is, we've heard some people say, why would it cost $45,000 for a fence? And I think it came in slightly under that. But if you see the construction and these timbers and the fence, it's like you can understand why that was um a a project that cost what it cost. So, and it
It's
looks,
huge.
it's huge. I
Yeah.
mean, you can see it's much taller than Carolyn is, and those posts they're massive. So I mean, and the garden
Yeah.
looks great. And it's really nice vinyl covered fencing, and so I was just really impressed to see it
And
myself.
it's supposed to last us for 20 years, so
I,
that's
I would say based on that, it should.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
40,000 is a lot, or 45,000 when it's you're thinking at once, but when you think about the life of the project, I think we got well.
yeah, so we talked about either a smaller one or a bigger one. This is one where I don't think we can really post it out by the road. And it's also one thing, like we didn't do the whole project, just the fence. So maybe we'll put something specific on the sign to reference, the fencing or whatever. But I mean, people that are up close, I mean, I don't know what your feelings are if you want to go bigger or smaller. There was another one too, Carolyn.
Yep.
I think. So Carolyn spotted very quickly on the back side of the kiosk that's there. We could post it. I don't know if we want it there.
Right.
I mean, it's not seen, it wouldn't be seen probably as well. I mean, I guess it
It,
would be because as you leave, you would look right at it. But
it would definitely be seen by the people who use the garden.
right.
Yep.
You know,
Maureen, can you keep an eye out for Julie? She just texted that and since I'm screen sharing, I can't really do that.
Does she need the code?
I sent her the code, but hopefully she doesn't need it to get in.
so
Yes.
we could put it in either place. I kind of impartial to putting it on the fence. Again, we still have to kind of talk to the group and say, are you okay with it on the fence and that kind of stuff? But at least this gives us something so that we can give them a concrete look. But I personally would rather see it on the fence, but
Well, I think it'll be pretty easy for our chair to have a conversation with their chair, so.
Maybe
I
a
think-
breakfast or something.
yeah. But I think the bigger sign works on this location. Fine. It's not, I don't think it's overly obtrusive. So
Right.
any questions? Okay.
All right, I'll go to the next set of, so this was that one, so then it's these.
So this is
Wow.
Powderhouse Hill. And in this case, well, we just got through saying bigger's potentially better for some of these. Because this is like in a neighborhood
Yeah,
and it's on somebody else's property, it's just an easement. You know, Carolyn and I both thought that the 18 by 24 would probably be sufficient. It won't have the same impact, but I don't necessarily know that we want it to be as big. And I also had this thought because we had talked about the color being like white with like the green lettering, that maybe we should look at like a more of an off-white or a cream background just so it's not glaring white. Still bright enough to be seen, but maybe just not like, you know, white. So is there the backed up one, Carolyn? Where I sort of took it from across the street, sort of. That's so if you don't know, that's where the entrance is, kind of give you a sense. So I think
Right.
it'll still be visible. It's
Right,
not
so
gonna-
Wheeler's Garage is right across the street from this. Just,
Yeah,
and you can see the opening there.
yeah. So we just
So,
figured-
right, so the property line is like, I am probably standing on the property line, so we would need to, find out where that is and put the sign as close to that as we can while still following all the rules and,
yeah. And Carolyn and I thought, you know, maybe for the horseshoe pond, it might require 2 posts, but at this size, maybe one 4x4 type of pressure treated post. I don't know what the material would be, but I can talk to Sign Logics and ask them what they would recommend for it. We want something that's going to stand up, and I kind of, you know, that's the key.
right. We did not, hold on. Wayne, it has occurred to me that we did not stop at the Bullard House.
We drove by it, and I didn't say anything, particularly because it just seems like it's such a unique. I have no idea what we think is appropriate, and I didn't know if Eleanor, if you'd spoken with them about signage. I think we had sort of asked you to talk to them and see what they thought. but-
I did talk to them. They thought the sign was a great idea, but I don't think that they had any ideas about what they wanted. We have
Yeah.
a meeting in 2 weeks, so I can ask them again.
Yeah, well, now that you've seen this, I mean, like, you know, is the thought of an individual signpost in front of it? I mean, we're not the sole funding provider, but I don't know what other signage they have, or may have, so, you know. I think
Right,
that's
so
what we're-
Julie, since you just got here, Wayne and I drove around town, as you can see, with cardboard, mock-ups so that we can just kind of get visuals of what size signs really make sense for each property.
So
So
smart.
the top one there is, what was it, 18 by
18 by
24?
24.
And then the big one is 2 feet by 3 feet.
Yeah, so
So-
so the existing little sign that you guys have there is about a, you know, probably 18 by 24. And Carolyn and I were talking about, and I said, well, let me step back. And I said, see how hard, I mean, it's hard to read that pickleball sign. Like, I mean, you kind of know what you're doing when you go in there. But I said to Carolyn, I said, well, you know, if you step back and you don't actually go up to it, you really might not even know what it is or see it or see the logo, because there's a lot of printing that we wanted to put on our sign as well. So, you know, I guess that's something to be considered. You know, I guess I would rather see the 2x3 one that would just kind of, you know, give a little more, you know, push to what it is, that it was funded. Maybe we could move the other, you know, if we didn't want to stack them in the same area, maybe move one sign to the to the other side or, whatever. But, we'd work with rec, obviously, and you guys could say, but if we're gonna have a sign company, come out and move it, and we said, okay, we could put the CPA on the right side and the smaller current sign on the left, I'm sure they could move it if they was okay with that. I don't know what the other cardboard there is a pizza box that somebody has attached to the fence. It must have been a sign at one point, but it's faded.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
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 it's
yeah.
just a pizza box zip tied now.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine. No. Any thoughts,
Yeah.
Julie, looking at it?
I would agree. I think the bigger one is better for this size project.
Do you think moving the other sign I mean, if you wanted to stack them, my only reason for not stacking them is if those trash cans are there all the time, just to
Mm.
maybe move one or whatever. I think because I think the bigger sign would look trapped on the left side, but the smaller sign would fit nice.
Yeah, I was thinking even to put I mean, we can discuss this with the committee, but to put the CPA sign facing the road. So you can
We
see
didn't
that
think about that,
when you
Wayne.
drive by. That's what I've seen in communities where you can drive by and you see the project and you can see the big CPA
Yeah, I think that
lettering.
makes
Sure.
sense.
I mean, we can just that's the other thing too. I've given you guys designs, but we can
Right.
sort of, max one out and just sort of like print it out and just kind of take another ride back and just kind of look and see, like, can you see it with the logos from where we want it to be? But now that I have the size, I can size it the right way. So I think the biggest thing with all this is like, let's do it right. And so I think we're,
Mhm.
having good conversations. So that's a good idea, Julie. I hadn't thought about, we didn't even talk about putting it facing the
Right,
road.
because I was thinking putting it like somewhere in the middle here.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I just said,
Um,
I said, you're not close to it. I said, so, you don't want to have somebody to walk over to actually read it. So
Right.
that would be my only concern facing the road is that would people coming to use the courts actually see it, but hopefully they'd see it from the road. So,
Mm, mm.
so I guess we can talk about it.
So it just occurred to me also.
The other
we
thing,
have-
the other thing too is as long as we agree on the size and stuff like that, once we get the sign, we can actually,
Yeah.
look at it before we actually hang it.
Right,
Yep.
so I have a plotter at work, that prints to scale plans, architectural plans.
Okay.
So I don't know if I could get exactly 2x3, but I could probably get pretty close to that. That
Okay.
way we can see, do we have too much stuff on there? Is there room
Mm.
for all of the information that we need? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, Wayne, if you can have you sent me in the past? Have you sent everybody the file?
I have, but I'll resize it to make sure it's 2x3. So you're
Okay.
actual, and I'll rethink it just a little bit to maybe pump up the logo a little and stuff like that. So
Okay. Yeah, if you could do that and then I can print it out. We can tape it on the cardboard and then we can do this again.
okay.
Mm.
But yeah, the courts looked great. So it was
Yeah. So then we
Um,
went across the parking lot to where the pavilion's gonna be.
This is so fun. What a good idea.
So
Thanks for
you know,
doing that.
that's just for scale, so you can kind of see where they.
Yeah.
I don't know, Julie. Is that roughly where it's going to be?
Correct. Yes, it
So,
is.
so we thought, like, again, this is a good example of why we would probably want it to be a little more specific about what it
Mm.
was that it did, because so this one sign would sort of cover the, restoration and sprinkler system and the pavilion all in one sign. So, and the other thing we were saying, and again, this is sort of why let's, kind of in the future talk about like, where does the signage go? Because one thing Carolyn and I were talking about, like even up at like Horseshoe Pond and stuff like that is, you want to make it easy for people to, whoever's mowing, be able to mow around the sign or whatever. So
Yeah.
this probably wouldn't be something we'd mount on the pavilion, but if you're going to landscape, like, okay, where does this exactly go? So, we'd probably put up one of the temporary signs while it's being constructed, but, we have to talk about those, but, but this gives you a sense. So 2x3 is probably, sufficient. I don't
Mhm.
know if you want to get much bigger, so.
Agree.
Right, but you know, just like with the up at Horseshoe Pond, since we're going to be putting real parking in there, we'll incorporate where the sign is going to be into that plan. So if we could do the same with the landscaping of the pavilion, then we can have something that looks like it belongs and not like it was stuck in there afterwards.
We can do
Do you
that.
know, do you
No
know where,
problem.
do you know where things are at with that? Well, we can talk about that afterward, but anyways, but that's just an idea, so. To
Yeah,
bring it up. So what was next after that? Anything?
I think that was it. We went to
Yeah.
Carter Street,
Yeah.
Mount Pisgah, the two at the school, and then the community garden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is good conversation. It'll help me to kind of go back to Sign Logics and talk to them and get maybe more specifics about the different size, not just the sizes, but the materials they recommend and get like a specific quote. So we'll see how it goes.
Right, especially now that we have a better idea of the size
Oh yeah,
that we're going to be asking for.
Yeah. And
yeah.
yeah, and I'll just and I'll talk to her about, you know, what color background, because I don't know if it's just completely printed or if it goes on certain material, but she was talking aluminum for the stuff mounted on fences, and you know, we didn't really talk about the material specifically for the signs that it would be mounted, but I think the naturalness of the Carolyn said that to me, and I said, yeah, that makes sense. The naturalness of the 4x4 type of pressure treated. It also holds up better. It won't chip. It won't, if it gets dinged, well, it'll look natural instead of looking chipped. So that would be good. Maureen, when we left off with the temporary signs, did we order them? Isn't I thought Carolyn and I were talking about it, and I said, I thought that's what we said is, but I don't know where we were at with it.
That is where we left it. Well, it was actually for me to go talk to the town accountant, which I did.
Okay.
And June said she'd be more than happy to reimburse on a credit card, but would not reimburse sales tax. So that individual from Ohio was not, I wasn't getting responses. I only went twice to see if we could then, I did honestly try to see if we could get the normal situation where we get the materials, then we get the invoice and we pay. That wasn't going to happen. And they weren't filling out the form for the sales tax. So because of that, I didn't order them, and I told Tim, and he's like, well, let's figure out a different way to go with the sign. So
All right,
this
then
is.
what I'll do,
Right,
since we know the pricing that they were giving us, I'll talk to Sign Logics and see what they can do.
Right. Right, and then I have the forms, obviously, so that like they'll need to fill out, they might even already be a vendor with the town, who, it's a possibility. But a W-9, and make sure that we don't get charged sales tax, so.
Okay.
So that's where that went with June, yes.
Okay, well, we'll
So-
find out. I'll see if there's another solution, because I think anything you order online with a larger company, you're gonna run into this problem, so it might.
I agree.
It's gonna need a different solution. So,
Yeah.
or
So with Sign Logic, they couldn't, would they do the temporary signs, or they just do more professional, like
I think they
the,
can do, I think they can do
material.
anything. I think it's just a matter of asking them, so I'll.
Right, they can definitely do it. When I talked to them back in the day about the CPA signs, the price difference from that company in Ohio was significant. So,
And in that case, it, you know, I mean, how much
Right.
was the total quote? I don't even remember.
around
Maybe.
300.
So
It was
what's
like 10 for
300.
it was like 10 signs for about 300. You guys approved 300 at the end of the fiscal year to use, which then we didn't get in.
I'll
in
talk.
that-
Well, I'll talk to them and.
right, 10 signs?
Thought it was,
30.
yeah, because it was that weird material, like the landscaping kind of guys material.
Yeah, I feel like I got like 200 signs for $300 or 100 signs or some what
Yeah.
that's
Well, I'll talk to them. They were like $30 a sign or something.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
You think that's crazy?
Well, it shows you how long ago. I think honestly, I think when I did the CPA signs, they were like $7 a piece or something. but that was a long time ago, you know?
Yeah.
Well, let
Um,
me find out.
I can, I still have the quotes and,
Yeah, I'm sure I
Right.
have them. I haven't
So-
referenced them.
So I just did the
Yeah.
math. 300, mass sales tax on $300 is $18.75.
I'll pay
If
for
it-
that.
Right, I was just gonna say, I'll use my credit card and I will donate
Yeah.
the $18
Yeah.
if
I-
the
Okay.
price
I-
difference really ends up being that.
Yeah, but if we get close and then they're willing to do it, then
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing either. So
100%.
and maybe they would have something that's perhaps more durable than those signs. And if there's something that's more durable, it might be worth it. So I'll explore that with them. I think we were just doing something down and dirty before, but let's just see.
yeah,
Are you-
because
are you
we
ta-
Go
were
ahead,
trying to
Julie.
just
Sorry.
use 50, that we were trying to use the admin stuff at the end of fiscal 24, so we were getting kind of down and dirty kind of thing, yeah.
Julie, what
Yeah.
were you gonna say?
I was gonna, are you talking about sign logic signs? Is
We
that what you were
had
talking about?
we were looking at Sign Logics to do the permanent signs, but we found an online company that did political signs and stuff that we could have gotten the type that have a little wire stands to just use as the temporary signs, but they were like 24 by 48 or something to that effect. So
Oh, that's probably why they were so expensive.
maybe because they were
Because
bigger.
the ones I did were the 18 by 24.
Yeah, these were bigger ones. I think they were at least 2 by 4 or 2 by 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Do you have a question about it specifically, Julie, or?
No, I was just hoping that we would be going with sign logic just because they're.
Yeah, I
more
mean, so we
local.
have,
Yeah.
yeah, so we have to get the
We
quote.
deal with them too for signs with
Oh,
rec.
you do? Okay, well, that's a good thing
Yeah.
to know as well.
Yeah.
So,
Right. So they probably are a vendor
Vendor.
already set up
Yeah.
with the town.
Okay,
Well,
So
that I
that
don't know.
helps.
Well, actually, yeah, I don't know that.
did they do that sign at the pickleball court?
Yep, that was a donation though, but yes, she
Okay.
did that one, yep. And then, they've done the baseball signs around the baseball field.
Okay. Yeah, before you joined, I was just saying, we had talked about, working with Assabet and stuff like that, and they just haven't gotten back to me at this point.
Mm.
And it's summer and stuff like that, but I really appreciated the talking to a professional that does this stuff because she had a lot of ideas and about mounting and just different options and stuff like that. And plus, within, then I started to really think about how do you install these things, so
Right,
I
sure.
think that's another whole animal. So
Mhm.
yeah, so I think there's a lot to think about this, but I think it's good. And once we get this done, I think it's, depending on what we find the costs are, that can be something that we can just build into the cost of projects and stuff like that. If
Projects, yeah.
it's just a few $100s, say add that to the budget. And if it's a
Yep.
little weird amount, well, it's a little weird amount, but at least it's covered.
Yeah,
We
smart.
we know they know it's part of the plan. So
Smart.
cool. So I don't have anything else that was kind of more extensive than I thought to go over, but I think it needs that because otherwise how do we go back and make progress? Because it's taken a while. So any other comments, questions?
Good job.
Yeah, great job. Thank
Wayne
you.
and I had a blast. It was very fun.
It was fun. We had a good time going around doing all that. And you missed the first one, Julie, but we were talking about, because we'd gone out to the community garden, and that fence is amazing. And
Oh, yeah.
for people that were like, I did say to her, and I think that this is something else, maybe this is sort of maybe to put in there, but as we do projects and stuff like that, maybe ask the proponent to like take some pictures of it,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and submit them back
Mhm.
to the committee, because, we could post them on, I think eventually it'd be good to get the website, to have pages to talk about the the project. And I mean, we could do it, but it's even good to post it on social media to, so people can see, this is what got done. I mean, that PR, the sign shouldn't be the only PR that we do for the stuff. And so people stay aware of, this, this was approved, this was done, and
Yeah,
I think
right.
that fencing is extremely impressive, the size of it. So I mean, it's easy to understand why somebody say, well, why would a fence cost that much? Because you have these visions, especially if you've never quoted it, but you can tell
Mhm.
why that fence, took what it took. So it's pretty impressive. So
Yep.
okay. What else is on the agenda? status reports. So I've talked a lot. So who else has
Yeah.
status reports?
Well, what that means is that's the status reports that go out to all the applicants for the projects that have been approved.
Oh, okay.
I sent out all those out on July 24th. I've gotten 0 back, so I will send my reminder out on Friday. But in that same
do
meeting
that.
that I did, actually, I have a couple of because I do need you, Julie, because I don't think
Yeah.
I have a good email for the pavilion, but I did go through the park. You know how like you can do that contact through the webpage. So I did it like that to see if anything happened. Nothing came up, but so I'll do a reminder to everybody on this Friday. When I was also talking with the town accountant, I did get confirmation that the announcer's booth, because she does a different thing for her reporting to the state. Those funds are going to be returned back to CPA. And as Ellie informed us, the digital imaging, $2,000 of that is going to go back. So so these will match up with what June has sent out, and they're due at the end of the month so that we can report our CP3 report to the state for the 15th. So that's what those status reports are.
Thanks.
And I don't have, I feel badly, I just don't have any updates on anything else breaking ground or anything this summer. But Julie, you might have more of a instinct on like the pavilion and the fields if I think they've been meeting with you with Kristen, but I'm not positive.
Sure. So, okay, so thank you for the reminder about the status reports because rec meets Thursday and our whole committee's gonna be there, so I can just have Bob, because he's managing the pavilion. Is that, I don't know if that's who you've contacted for the pavilion, but if you just send it to me, I can get it to Bob.
Okay, I will
right.
send you the blank forms, and then you can,
Sure.
whoever, if you can get Greg there, whomever you can get there.
Okay, all
Fill
right,
it out.
no
scan it
problem.
back.
And it's
just
due
a
at the end
one
of the month.
form, due at the end of the month.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, perfect, great, we have a deadline, awesome. Okay, we'll get that done for you. Sorry about that, Maureen. All right.
No
So-
worries. That's why I do
Yeah.
everything early, so then I can send a second out.
Yeah,
Sure, I
I
get that,
find
yeah.
summer is so hard for stuff.
It is. It's a
It
bad
is,
time.
it is.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's just, we just have 2 projects pending because the playground is ARPA, so it's completely different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pavilion
And-
okay,
And then it's kind of on the same way, just so that you all know. So the old town accountant's office is now kind of shared space for some of the smaller boards and committees. So I went ahead and I grabbed a file cabinet for CPA stuff. So the top of it is kind of like documents like the things that we get for the town clerk's office when, the attorney general, approves what happened at town meeting. And then the bottom one is going to be all the applications. So the back part of it is complete applications like the tennis courts and basketball. And the front one will be the things that are still pending. So nothing will be in my home anymore. It's all at the town office.
And it's in the accountant's office?
The old town accountant's office. So right next to where the assessors were. So
Everybody's
the
moved
town
around.
And it really looks great. They've done some really great.
does.
The town offices look great. So it's right next to the assessor's office. I know like the cemetery commission's using some space in there and some of the other smaller things, just so things are there. So that's where our files will be.
Okay.
And then that's when I go in either on the Wednesday or Thursday afternoon, that's where I do office hours with Tim. So, yeah.
All right. So we'll just stay on top of the status reports, and if you need anything else, you can let me know. I can make calls if need be, or certainly ring them yourself.
Yeah, I think again, I agree. It's the summertime.
It's just
People
hard.
I'll
Things get
get
lost.
that email. Yeah. Once everybody gets back to school, people get focused again.
When's
So
the deadline for the CP3 form?
have to have it in by the 15th of September.
Oh, so it's a pretty tight deadline that people respond. So, okay. That's good to
Yeah,
know.
no, it's not,
problem.
it's not that difficult to get it into the state. It's a good
No.
online situation.
2 weeks can go by like that from the
I-
end of the month till when it's due.
Right,
So
yeah,
especially with
yeah.
our meeting schedule. So that's good to know.
that's correct.
Right. So if everybody can rattle their own committee's cages, if
No
need be.
problem.
Ellie, when does historic meet?
I think we moved up our meeting to the 6th of September, but I can talk to June.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Just helps. Super. All right. So now that we know that's the status report, so chair updates. Anybody got other updates?
Do you want me to update on the projects for rec?
If you could, that'd be great. Because
Yeah. I
know
mean, I
there's
can't give a
nothing there
lot.
at the moment. Well,
It's all
but you can.
secretive, Wayne. No, just kidding. It's not secretive. Okay, so we have currently 3 major projects happening on the grounds right now. So we have the pavilion, we have the playground, and then we have the rebuild of the fields. 2 of those were funded by CPA. What we recognized as we are in the throes of all these projects now is we want to thoughtfully do these projects so that we don't place something like the pavilion and then go to do the grounds right after the pavilion's been placed. Or do the grounds and then the playground needs to be bumped out a little bit more after we put money into the grounds. So we met with a master plan engineer. He came out and he loved actually the grounds and he loved Berlin and the whole. And he's going to put together a proposal for us for a master plan because we have a guy in town that I guess went to school for master planning, but he doesn't have the certifications for it. So Kristen said, great that you went to school for it, but not so great because you don't have the certification. So we can't necessarily use your skill set for liability reasons. So we went ahead and found this guy, reputable company, reputable engineer, and he's drafting a proposal for us so that we can have all these projects and what we had for a vision within 5 years for additional projects, the sort of ideas we were talking about. We threw out to him, hey, what can you give us for a proposal? He did let us know that it is going to be pricey. Master plans are pricey, as you guys know, to put together. So we may have to come to CPA for money for the plan, but that'll give us a good blueprint for the projects that we have. We have a good idea, like the pavilion's ready to launch. We could have that's already been all taken care of. We could have that delivered in the next 6 weeks. But then if we put it somewhere and we don't necessarily have every other thing locked in place, that may not be too advantageous. So the
Yeah.
pavilion's ready to go. The playground also, Kristen and I met with the playground company several times to discuss whether it needs to go out to bid. So getting those 2 projects working in tandem is important too. And then the fields, that's a tricky rebuild because of seed, right? And when you put seed in the ground, it has to have optimal growing conditions. And because we're in New England, we have limited optimal growing conditions. So we have to carefully plan that for those optimal growing conditions. And we're going to displace, 250 kids for their season. So we have to work with surrounding communities on where we're gonna put these kids to play their sports. So that project likely will not be started until next spring.
Oh,
So hopefully everything, we want to be under contract with playground, definitely by December. We're hoping for October. And then the pavilion's ready to go. But then the fields, we're not gonna be able to start likely until the springtime.
okay.
So yeah, that's where we're at right now.
So that's good. I would just,
Yeah.
you made the comment about the funds for the master plan. So the only thing I would say, and anybody else on here can concur, Tim's not here, but Carolyn, you might, is that, when we had that presentation from Stuart talking about, what funds can be used for and what
Yeah.
bucket they fall in, I would try to think about what's the bucket, look, I don't know if we still have that. Do we have that grid somewhere anywhere?
Yeah, we
Maureen?
do.
Yeah, so I would think about that
It's
because
online too.
I don't really know where funding a master plan comes up under from my understanding, where that
Sure.
type
For
of thing, you know,
CPA.
like that would go through CPA because it's not a, so I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you guys can make your proposal however, but
Right. So,
Sure,
and
for
Julie,
sure.
my question about is he just doing a master drawing, or is he doing a whole write-up to go along with it?
Well, he's gonna give us the proposal first, and then it's what we have to accept it, and then after we accept it, it will be both. It'll be I mean, it's a professional master plan.
So you kind of already have a professional master plan in the open space and rec plan.
Well, we do, and I know that was approved in 2000, right? Is that the one you're talking about?
Well, it was done. It
Yeah.
was completed by Central CMRCP. So they may be able to take the rec portion that they already have and make it bigger. I don't know that they will take, like, I don't think they'll go out and survey the area. I don't think they'll
Mm.
like put it in a drawing format.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
written portion is already done in the open space rec plan that was, I think it was completed in 22. It was like high COVID, you know, so nobody
Right,
really
right.
saw it.
Right, right.
Um,
And I
but I
don't,
believe it's available on the town website.
yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know that is, so right, so that was done in 2022, sort of before there was, I mean, I don't even know that I don't even think we had an existing rec committee in 2022.
It was hard. Let's
Right,
just say that you were not well represented in that
No.
plan. I will say that for
Right,
sure.
exactly right. So to
Yeah.
have more of, you know, a visual plan, right, that is drawn up, I think is more advantageous than what was put together in 2022 with no committee
Right.
really thinking about it. You know what I mean? I can definitely use this.
100%. Right. So,
Yep.
right. So I guess my point is absolutely have a professional draw the plan,
Yeah,
but for the narrative that goes along with that, you may be able to use what already exists or build off of what already
build
exists,
from it. Yeah, you
so
got it.
that you're not paying for duplicate work.
Sure, sure. Yep, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, might help keep costs down.
yep. Thank
But
you.
again,
That's good.
but again, if the thought is that, you know, CPA can help provide funds to do it, you need to make sure it's gonna
Yep.
fit in the bucket. And
Of course,
and
of course.
if, from what I would think of a master plan, it's not specific to any one project, or as part to get that particular thing done. So I don't know. I just thrown it out there as a caveat.
Well, it's specific to one project in the sense that it is a rebuild of those athletic fields,
Okay, well,
really. I mean,
Sure, but right, will they pay for the planning portion of that?
right, and that's a good point, Wayne. So I will definitely look into that. So I'm glad you said that.
I'm just throwing it
Yeah.
out. I mean, you know,
Yep.
Yeah.
if you know what the plan is, you submit an application, then we as a group have to really answer that
Sure,
as ourselves
sure.
for CPA. So I would
Yeah.
just say before you put it forth, you know, help us out with the process and you tell us where
Yep.
you think it needs. So we're not just left from our own telling you where we think it does or doesn't fit, you know, try to make the case of what you
Yep.
think.
I can also, I'll reach out to Stuart too.
Yeah, because you were there that day and I know you were asking some good questions.
Yeah,
But we also saw some good examples of things people thought, oh, this qualifies. And he's like, nope. So,
yeah, right,
mm,
right, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a wealth of knowledge in this, so I'll just shoot him an email, and he's quick to get back to email, so
Great.
that's great.
Thanks. Any other updates? When we were driving by the Bullard House, we saw the foundation.
Mhm.
Well, it's actually the septic system.
Oh, okay.
We had to have, because it's not a private residence anymore, we had to fit with the commercial, even though it's not gonna have a lot of use, but we had to do it. So we had to put in a second tank. You have to have a 2 partition tank, but the current tank is in a location that can't be expanded, so we ended up having to do a second tank in the backyard. And we had to do that before they can do the drainage mitigation from the old town hall in their the parking lot. So I guess in the process, they're going to actually do handicap parking access officially for the old town hall and bump out the existing parking lot area and paving it over and marking it. But we had to put the septic tank in first so they could then figure out where they can put the retaining wall to bump out the parking area.
What direction
There's
are
so
they?
many moving parts here that it's
Yeah.
hard to keep it going, but yeah,
What
so we've got the
direction-
first step.
What direction are they bumping the parking lot?
Well, because for handicapped access, it has to have so many spots and you have to have room to be able to back out and turn around.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, there isn't that kind of room, so they're gonna have to pull it out into the backyard of the Bullard House and then put in a retaining wall.
Wow.
But that, then they'll be able to work on the drainage because a lot of the water issues in the cellar of the Bullard House is because it's running off of the town hall and down the driveway and into the cellar.
Sure.
So they screwed up some drainage system that had been existing when they had to redo that driveway to put in the parking lot that's currently there.
Lovely.
But I think that's gonna be done by the town, not by the Historical Commission for the Bullard House. We just have to have input, so we had to have the septic system, septic tank installed so they know how to deal with bumping out the parking area and putting in the retaining wall.
Okay, thanks. And Beth, you're on mute, but do you have anything to report for the housing partnership? Or housing trust?
Well, I can report we are moving forward on the down payment assistance program. Documents are in review by the lawyer. Well, the Central Mass Housing Partnership will be actually managing the application process for us, but the documents should be ready to be posted on the website in September, and we can start advertising it. There are so few homes and so many people who fit the income bracket, but even one a year would be fabulous in terms of, benefit to the community. So that's that's the big push right now. We continue to work with Habitat for Humanity. There is another property that may be suitable that we are looking at in more depth to make sure it would be transferable to them to build an affordable unit on. Those are our two big things that we're working on.
Cool. Are you guys, it's not price CPA specific, but I know there was just recently the legislation passed about
The
ADUs.
affordable dwelling unit. Oh, we are very excited.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lot of like professional development and community development workshops and things about all those. So we are definitely the push to do ADU bylaws. Obviously, that trajectory has changed now that we have this at the state level.
Yeah, planning is talking about that a lot too.
Yeah.
I can tell you that last week when planning met, Tim had talked to somebody. Trying to remember if they were from Central Mass Regional Planning or not. They might have been. And until the state actually creates the regulations around the law, which they think will take about 6 months, we're kind of all in a holding pattern about what it means for individual towns. but it's on everybody's radar for sure.
Well, there's a good with this too, so who knows how that will. You
Yeah.
guys will come up with ideas, I'm sure. So that's cool. All right. Anything else from chair updates? Member input or updates?
I did, but Wayne, just look up master planning on CPA, and there's a ton of communities that have done it.
Okay.
So
Well-
that's good.
Okay. Well,
That's good to know in general. I mean,
yeah, I think finding the I think that
Wow.
bucket thing that he gave us was really helpful. So, so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
one
There's
or
a
two.
whole, I mean, on their website, there's a huge, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's a database for projects, for
Mhm.
CPA projects with all the towns in across the state. I mean, it's intense.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
gorgeous.
That's
Yeah.
what, that comes, that's what that CP3, that's how that information gets there.
Status
It's from
report.
us.
Yeah.
according to them. That's from what
Well,
the.
it's good to
awesome.
know. I mean, and that's the good process to go through to say, like, have others done it? Does it fit? Where does it fit? I think those
Yep.
things are key. So that's good.
Yeah, that's
Right.
awesome.
All right, hearing nothing else. Next meeting we have set for September 3rd, but Maureen just was like, yeah, because that's primary day.
That's primary day,
Yeah.
so open meeting law says that you can hold a meeting, but you can't hold a public hearing, which we don't have a hearing, of course, we've got no applications or anything, but best practice is not to meet on any kind of elections. So
Right.
that would put
I-
you out to that would put you
I-
out to the 7th.
Yeah,
Seven
I
days.
have it already deleted. I think at the last meeting we decided not to hold the one on the
Okay.
on the
I thought we
third.
had talked about it, but I wasn't sure. So what was the next date? The 17th of September?
Yeah,
Okay.
which I'm not
But
anticipating.
the thing with that would, so not that you're gonna need it, do we need to do anything with the CP3? Because that's after the deadline, so you guys would just have done that, so we would.
That's an admin function. Yeah, I just do that as an admin function. So,
Okay.
and then just report back to you that it was done.
So we have the
the bill-
17th, then potentially is the next meeting. And is there a meeting after that we have booked? Can you resend that? I said this to Carolyn. I said, I'm so bad with these dates and I don't take
Okay.
them. I mean, they're probably in the minutes, so if they are, or
No,
just
I can, you know what,
maybe put them in the
What
minutes
else?
for this meeting.
and what I started doing, is I'm putting it on our webpage too. I don't know, it sounds like Julie was at our webpage. So I've been adding a little bit of stuff here and there, like I put the slides up from the event, that's there, the new applications there. I reposted, Carolyn and Tim's correct, years that they got another 3 years with, that's that kind of stuff. But I'm gonna try to put it there, but yeah, I can always send that. The next one after that would be October 1st, if I'm going
That's
correct.
what I have
Yeah.
to also.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Those dates
And-
work for me. So does anybody else have
Right.
any issues with the 17th?
Shouldn't.
And that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
No idea.
No
and then
idea.
I'll just ask,
Well, I mean, yeah. I don't have schedules yet. I have 4 kids, so I don't have any schedules yet, but I mean, we'll make it work. I might run late,
Yeah.
but
Well, there's one to put on your list, Julie. So-
I
Yeah.
put it
Yep.
in. It's in the calendar. Not to say that 10 other things won't get added, but it's in there. It's good.
There you
Yep.
go.
yeah, I remember, it's tough. It's, you look back and you go, wow, how did I do that? I have
right.
one thing that Tim and I talked about. Does anybody have any, obviously, it sounds like you've got something, Julie. Does anybody have any other projects that might be coming in for applications this fall? Anybody
The
hear of anything?
Historical Commission has been talking about some things, but Wayne, to your point, I don't think that what they want to do is technically fundable by CPA. I have to do a little bit of research and get back to them. So I don't know
Okay.
whether there's going to be anything or not.
Okay,
Right.
Yeah.
And conservation definitely would like to do the Lyman Street parking lot. And again, not sure we definitely need to make sure we can do that with CPA funds as well.
Right.
But that is what we're looking to do.
And
So-
and Carolyn and I had a conversation because there was, and I don't know who would be the proponent, but that there was just the survey of town buildings done, Carolyn, and we were just talking about the Legion Hall, right?
Right.
Is that the right name for that building?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know who, but they're talking about uses of properties, and I guess that one's, but that's a historical building, so I don't know if
Yeah.
that's a historical committee thing. I know it's maybe beyond their scope.
Yeah, I
area,
think,
but they may have
it's
their
been-
hands full with what they have, but
Yeah, it's been talked about because it was the old West School. before
right.
Right.
It was the Legion Hall, but I don't think it's in very good shape. At least think that was the discussion that I've heard. But I don't know that anybody's been in it for a long time, because certainly the Legion isn't very active anymore.
Yeah, I don't know much about it other than Carolyn was just mentioning to me
Yeah.
that there'd been a building survey done, and I don't know if that's a question for Kristen to see if there's any plans for that or what.
Right.
but-
Well, I know the select board was going to start discussing it at their discussing all of those buildings at their meetings. Whether they have started doing that or not, I don't know.
But to me, maybe that's maybe just to put on their radar screen that if they've got renovation plans or things like that, maybe that's a CPA type. I mean, that would I would guess qualify as a CPA purpose if they're
Yeah.
looking for particular funding to do something specific depending on what they're doing, even if it's to stabilize it versus have it go down.
More.
It's restoration, right? So
Yeah.
the reason it's brought up is just, we will be sliding right into the fall, so just, we gotta remember those deadlines. It comes up, October and November come up very quickly for application reviews. And,
Do we need to
it'll
put
get-
do we normally publicize that or put anything out there like on Facebook?
question.
I've never done anything on the Facebook page, but what I have seen, again, because that coalition website is amazing. They're very similar to what we did in May. Is you can have another meeting for community members to try to come in with ideas, kind of thing. I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know if May generated something like that. But I just, it's just that timeline always gets to be a little bit of a panic because your decisions have to be made in February so that
Yeah.
it can get onto the warrant. So it's like, even though it seems like, that next summer's so far away, those applications. So if there's anybody speaking or thinking of things, the application is already on the website and they can, kind of start playing with that kind of thing if there's anything out there. So we had just talked about that last Thursday when we met.
Well,
And that's that.
Okay, I think it's good to put something out there, Facebook or whatever, just to sort of say, hey, we've, this is who we are, this is what we do, check out the website. If you've got a project that may fit the guidelines, I can do something like that, and I'm glad to do that. Just to
Right. We
say,
don't, CPA doesn't have a Facebook page, does it?
No, but if we don't have a lot of follow, I mean, you want to be where people are that might have the ideas. I mean, we've got obviously the key constituents of, the buckets of what the types of projects are, but, I'm sure
Yeah, I
but
presume
also,
putting something on like Berlin Neighbors Connect.
yeah, I'll do that. I'll
Yeah.
do that. And when is our first deadline for?
So there's a lot of information on your webpage now,
I'll just tell
basically,
people to go there and if they've got projects.
Yeah.
Because I think it's
because
planting
it-
seeds, because even if somebody just has a
Yeah.
concept in fruition, it may not happen this year, but as we all know, planning takes time, so.
Right.
Right,
So
but
there's-
you
so
do,
there's that-
yeah, you do need to be careful about inviting projects.
But we can talk about it at the
Yeah.
next meeting. When
Yeah. Yeah,
But, I think-
just careful how to word it, that's all.
Right.
well, maybe I'll draft something and we'll talk about it on the 17th.
Right.
So it's not an agreement. I don't want to go
And,
rogue.
and pull from what's on the webpage, because there's there's really the pre stuff, the actual application,
Yeah.
and then the after stuff.
Well, nobody's
which,
gonna
you
read a
know,
big Facebook post anyways. It would be more like,
Yeah.
you know, we're looking, you know, we're just, this is public awareness that the funds are there for projects that meet the criteria. If you're not sure, go to the website, learn more, that kind of stuff, have a conversation.
And any resident can do an application. You don't have to
Right,
be.
that's
a
what,
board-
that's what I mean. So it's, you never
You can
know.
be, yeah, you can be.
Okay.
And Maureen, you did a really nice job on the website, getting all that information. The application process is really nicely written up. So
Yeah,
there's
and
no
I'm picking
question.
away at it, so.
You did a good job. Looks good.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, so the
Thank you.
17th is our next meeting. We don't need to vote that, do we?
Perfect. Nope.
No, you
No.
just need to give me an adjournment at.
Yay, so
8:50.
do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Which is non-negotiable, which are non-negotiable. So just a roll call vote then. Eleanor,
I
MJ,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Carolyn,
Aye.
Wayne,